Well, how did you all find this place? I found it very easily, and it's very nice, really. Is this mine or someone else's? I asked to have the coffee given me intravenously, but no one obliged. Because I really need it, so I'm going to drink as I talk. Goodness, it's like a star, bunch of exploding stars. How are we all well today? I mean, now where are we all from? I mean, I think that would be the best thing for people to kind of introduce themselves and say hi, and so that I know you a little bit, and then you know me a little bit. Okay, why don't we just do that? We start, let's see. Yeah, we're in America. We'll start this way. Tell me your name. Kelly? Oh, Karine. Where are you from? France. Where in France? What? This is the city? Okay, 6 years. Boy, a lot has happened since that last time, hasn't it? 86. So that was before I did Tucker, and before I did Crimes, and before I was just saying a little while ago, I just got a call from Woody Allen Thursday, because a week ago Julia Taylor had called and said Woody's writing Martin into his next movie. The script's not finished, but is he available in September and stuff like that. But don't tell him yet, because Woody is still writing. I mean, the script isn't finished. Anyway, Thursday, got a call saying you can tell him that Woody, he's writing the part for him, so, which is nice. He said he was going to do that, but that was 3 pictures ago, so I began to lose. Well, I talked to him on the phone. He said, "We got it. We've got it. We've got it. You know what I mean?" So we should do. We should work together again. And I said, "Yeah, I'd rather hear it from your mouth than anybody's in the world. You know, if someone's going to say they're going to write something for you, that I'd rather hear it from you than anybody." And he said, "Well, yeah, well, it was great. It was good." Okay. So anyway, so it looks like I will be, unless I read it and absolutely hate it. But I don't think so. It's one of, from what I gather, there are 3 or 4 main roles in the picture. I have no idea what it's about. I guess, I don't know if anyone knows yet. But anyway, that's sort of a secret. We shouldn't talk about it yet because he could change his mind. I don't think so, because it's nice, I mean, it's great if somebody is writing for you. I mean, crime, obviously he didn't write Crimes and Misdemeanors for me, but when I flew into New York, he it's kind of strange. He had been trying to cast the role for many weeks, and was very, I don't know, he'd seen every actor in New York, and I think had flown a couple of other people in. And we got a call. It seems that Woody and Mia had seen Tucker, and Julia Taylor had seen it the same week. And though the character was very different from the character in Crimes and Misdemeanors, they were talking about it. They obviously liked the performance, and Woody said, "Well, why don't we fly Martin in?" And the next thing I know, I got a call through the agent and so on. They said, Woody would like you to fly in. And I said, could he send a script? Which was greeted with raucous laughter. I said, well, what's so funny? He said, Woody doesn't send scripts. I said, yeah, but he does ensemble pieces. It could be a 2-line part. I mean, why am I... Tell Martin it will be worth his while to fly in. So with that knowledge, I then went to... I had about 2 or 3 days before I planned on going in to see him, and I went over to Samuel French, and I bought 4 films by Woody Allen, 3 films by Woody Allen, and Hannah and Her Sisters, all which are published. Having seen all of his movies, I had never read any of his scripts, so, and that's a very different experience. I mean, reading a script and seeing a movie are different. So I read 8 of his screenplays, the last 2 on the airplane, flying in. And so I was like steeped in his writing, his style, his rhythms, and so on. And the carpentry, and I was, it's very impressive if you read his stuff. It's even probably, for someone who reads a lot of scripts, even more so than seeing the films, because if you remember the films, you also get a sense, how, you read the thing and you remember, the casting, and it's quite interesting to look at it from, as you all, I'm sure, have read scripts. And anyway, we went and flew in. Everyone said, don't be surprised if Woody doesn't say very much. I said, well, okay. He doesn't talk a lot if he doesn't know you. Anyway, the limousines here and in the airport, and put me up at the Sherry Netherlands, and cars and all of that stuff. I have a meeting with him at 9 o'clock at the Beekman Hotel, which is his editing room and screening room, and he has offices where Rollins and Jaffe are, and production offices on 57th Street, but this is his private place without windows. It's very dark in the back of a hotel, and you have to get past 12 people to get there. A little door with a key. Anyway, you have to knock and ring and do all kinds of things to get in. It's early in the morning. Juliet Taylor's there. Jeff Kurland is there, who was his costumer for like 12 years, and Woody. A couple of other people in the outer room, editors and stuff. Anyway, I walked in, hellos, sat down. It's very dark, large. It's a room as big as this, without any windows, and a couple of projection slits here, and a screen that comes up and down on that side. I just knew it was a projection room as well. Big, overstuffed furniture, but I was sitting on an ottoman without a back. Of course. He said, hellos were in order. I sat down, and it got very quiet. He said, well, just wanted to spend a few seconds with you. I said, well. I got up and I walked to the door. I said, I guess my time's up. He said, oh, no. No, sit down. I went back to my ottoman. Everyone else was sitting in a comfortable chair. Of course. It's like Kafka. So, he said, and he started to talk non-stop about crimes and misdemeanors. Character. Other things about it. I didn't understand one thing he was saying. I was listening intently. He's talking in Sanskrit, which is a written language. 10 minutes he talked. I said, Landau, have you been lobotomized? I'm not getting anything. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Not sequiturs, stream of consciousness, he's going on and on and on. And I don't understand a word of what he's saying, because he's talking about a script that I haven't read. It's very complicated. And he's talking about it in snatches. And I'm trying to follow him, and I literally feel as if he were talking in Swedish. And I had no Swedish, which I have none, you know. I mean, smorgasbord is the only word I know. Smorgasbord, okay. So, what I'm basically saying, at the end of which he says, okay, where are you going to be in an hour? I said, why? He said, I want to get the script to you. I said, oh, then I'll be in my hotel. That's what I'm here for. He said, okay. I said, okay. Okay. All right, then I got up and sort of sidled towards the door, and he said, okay, an hour. I said, okay. Okay. And we left, right? So, now an hour goes by, and I get a telephone call exactly. Like, bing, bing, bing. Yes? Said, it's going to be another half hour. Woody's writing you a note. I said, okay. Now, half an hour goes by, and there's a phone call from the lobby, and it's Juliet Taylor hand delivering the script. I said, please come up. She comes up. She comes in. I said, please come in. She said, this is very unusual. I said, what? He's giving you the script. I said, well, I guess, you know. Well, she says, but it's a, you know, when you read it, you'll understand why. But he doesn't give the script to a lot of, you know. He usually doles out different parts to different actors. For instance, Houston had no idea what was going on in my family, and Claire Bloom had no idea at all about Angelica. And so he likes to keep it sort of, but with the character I played, it would be impossible because of well, it's just very intricate and very difficult not to know what the heck is going on around it, just in terms of choices. Anyway, I read Crimes and Misdemeanors. And, now mind you, it's the 9th Woody Allen script I've read in the last 3 days. And I love it. I think it's the best. Well, for one thing, of course, he has a male protagonist that is not Woody Allen. And in the past, in every other film he's ever made, the protagonist, if it's not the Woody Allen character, it is a female. It's either Diane Keaton, or Mia Farrow, or Joanie Page, or Jenna Rollins, or whomever. But not, he's never, even the Michael Caine role in Hannah and Her Sisters is not a large role. It's a very good role, but it's not the role that carries the movie. So here was something, not only was it, but you know, the subject matter was kind of radical for Woody Allen. And anyway, I was very excited. She did say, before she left, how long will it take you to read it? And I said, why, are you coming to collect it? You know, some paranoia's in the air. Anyway, I said about 2 hours I read a script slower than I read anything else. 2 hours, I close the back page, and the phone rings. And I thought I was doing Mission again. I checked behind the pictures. Someone. I said, yes. Hello? Well? I said, it's great. It's this. And I just went off crazy. She says, you want to talk to Woody, right? I said, yeah. Tomorrow morning? Yeah. 9 o'clock or 9:30? I said, 9 o'clock. He said 9 o'clock too. He's concerned about how fast you wake up. I said, I'm concerned about how fast he wakes up. Now I'm talking very fast because for 2 hours I've been reading this script and I'm going crazy, and the first person I talk to is Juliet Taylor, and I'm saying, hey, the company, you know, it's a roller coaster ride. And she says, tell Woody. Next morning, I walk in, 9 o'clock, same spot. Woody says, well, you know, how are you? Actually, we have a conversation that should have happened the first day, the second day. He said, have you seen Charlie Jaffe? I said, not lately. He said, you know, we know each other. I said, I know you. You know, I mean, it was like we had the first conversation the second day. And the second conversation, the first day, was, we did this out of sequence, because I know Woody. I won't say I know Woody. I don't know Woody. No one knows Woody until you spend a little time with him. But I had, in fact, sat across a table with him at a Japanese restaurant in Century City many years ago, when Charlie Jaffe was my manager and was also Woody's manager, Rollins and Jaffe. And Woody was with us, a whole group of people sitting in a private room, on the floor, in one of those Japanese rooms. And all Woody said that night was, "Hello." And at the end of the night he said, "Bye." And he was at the table with us the whole time, and he never said a word. Everyone else talked endlessly. And Woody just sat, looking through these 2 Coca-Cola bottles he wears. And so, when he said, "We know each other," I really wanted to go into a dissertation, on that, because we didn't really know each other. A couple of times in New York, I'd run into him in the lanes, and he'd say, "Hi." Yeah, that's not really knowing someone, is it? Or, "See ya," I knew Mia, actually, better than I knew Woody. From the Paramount days, when she was doing Rosemary's Baby, I was shooting Mission Impossible, and I'd see her in the commissary and stuff. And I also went to her first, and last, wedding anniversary when she was married to Sinatra. They said they were only married a year. But I did go to that, at Chasen's in a tent. And so anyway, I knew Mia more than I knew Woody. Okay, now we set the scene where I walk in and he says, "Well, what do you think?" And I go off, having read 9 screenplays in 3 days. I talk about the carpentry, I talk about the character, I talk about this, I talk about... What I've ceased to mention, what I hadn't mentioned before, is that the day before, Woody said something in the only thing I understood the day before, and I said I didn't understand anything he said, I heard Edward G. Robinson in the middle of all of this, Now, Edward G. Robinson is someone I knew because I was in a play called Middle of the Night, which I toured with, on Broadway, and toured with, I came to California with Edward G. Robinson. He was a movie star of the 30s and 40s and 50s. But that's all I heard, and I didn't understand what he meant. So I talked and talked and talked and talked and talked about the carpentry and about this and the carpentry, and what he was getting into, and I felt it was the best screenplay he'd ever written, and so on. I was all excited. At the end of which I said, "Did you say Edward G. Robinson?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "In days gone by, I would have cast Eddie Robinson in the part." And I said, "Wrong." And a voice inside of me is saying, "Jerk, what are you doing?" It's like Jiminy Cricket, saying, "Schmuck, what are you doing? You're telling this man he doesn't understand the script he wrote, one of the great auteur filmmakers in the world, and you're telling him he's wrong? Shut the fuck up!" But I couldn't shut up, because he then said, What do you mean?" And I said, well, to be honest, you've written a character who's a liar, who's a cheat, who's a spoiled brat, who's a coward, who's a murderer, and an embezzler, who doesn't do a single redeeming thing in this film. It would be very easy to dislike this guy. I said, 20 minutes into the movie, the audience says, "This guy's..." "You don't have a movie." I said, "It's essential, whomever plays it, that the audience sympathize with this character, empathize with the character, take the trip with the character, see themselves as the character, and be horrified at the same time, or you don't have a film." There's a dead silence. And I said it just like that. And I said, whomever plays it, because I realized that particular phrase was more pertinent and more meaningful as I went on. At any rate, he said, well, you know, Mia's been telling me the same thing for the last couple of weeks. And I took my first breath in 5 minutes. And he said, what time's your plane back? I said, noon. He said, why don't we make it 4 o'clock? Because I'd like to have Jeff fit you for wardrobe. You got the part. Now, about 5 days into the shooting, he came up to me. He said, you know, when I wrote it, I didn't see it the way you're doing it. He said, I saw him a little more hard-nosed, a little more hard-edged. But I got to tell you, it's better. I thank you, and I trust your instincts enormously. And we got along great. And that's kind of an interesting story. So now when I say that I'm going to probably be working with Woody again, I can only say that's because he really opens the door and lets you go, you know. The good ones sort of do that. They kind of, you know, the old adage that 90% of directing is casting, and it sort of is in a sense. You're not coming in, so if there's a glitch in that long scene, it's 4 and 5 pages long, it's going to be in the movie. So you don't want that. I mean, there's no such thing as coming in and covering it. The only close-up I have in Crimes and Misdemeanors is during the Seder scene, when there's that flashback and I'm standing for, I assume some of you have seen the picture, but when he ties, you know, he shoots that way at the table and ties me into it, and then he comes in on a close-up. But it's the only legitimate close-up I have in the film. Everything else is moving in and out of stuff, or camera moving and you're moving and recoagulating. So the strange thing is, when is a glitch? And he's got impeccable taste, or theatricality, let's say, because I like a certain degree of theatricality. But in this instance, I didn't ever want anyone to feel that there was an actor acting, but that this was happening. And his stuff is tough, really tough. Of all the actors he's ever worked with, I'm the only one who never changed anything, and/or he asked to change something, and/or improvised, because Woody basically is a writer. And I respect good writing. Woody's stuff is not easy. It's very literary. He doesn't really, I'm not talking about his character, but other characters. My character in Crimes and Misdemeanors does not talk like people talk. Talks like, it is very literary, but then Shakespeare is literary, right? And you wouldn't change him. But I never changed a word. And I honored that, and he was amazed by it, continually brought it up. He said, you're the first actor I've ever worked with where I haven't, you know, Michael Caine or Early Payne. He says, this is tough stuff. I said, I know. He said, but it doesn't seem to be tough for you. I said, well, you make me do a lot of work and take a certain kind of emotional inventory, and it's hard, you know. And he kept saying this. He'd say, you know, this was a tough scene you just did. And I say, well, yeah. But he said, it's like falling off a log for you. I said, it's not. I said, it makes me, because we're not shooting in sequence either, and it's a very intricate kind of thing. The wife doesn't know, and it's the question of degrees. It has to be very subtle. And one day when he said it, like the 4th or 5th time he kept saying it, I said, if this were 1600 and this were the Globe Theater, and I was rehearsing up on the stage, and old Willie was out there, and I said, hey, Bill, you know this to be or not to be speech. I think it sucks. Can I say should I or shouldn't I? He says, whatever makes you comfortable, kid. Change it. Go ahead. I said, well, you know, why should I? I said, I do some writing, but why, you know, it would be audacious of me to feel I could write better than you, Mr. Allen. I didn't call him Mr. I called him Woody. And he called me Marty. Marty. Hey, Marty. Anyway. So, anyway. So therefore, the good news is that I'll probably be working with Woody again in September, but that's not for publication yet. You're the only people in the world who know, literally. And the picture I did with De Niro will be out in New York on August 7th. It'll be opening quietly in the 2 theaters in New York, and then 2 weeks later, we'll open here in Chicago and a lot of other places. Again, in small little bites, because it's a very unusual picture. We're getting very good press overall. I am getting terrific press. I mean, even if people don't like the film, they sort of like me a lot. And Robert Wool and I have the main roles. And Bobby De Niro produced the movie. It's his company. It's a Tribeca release.